On the morning of September 11, 2001, terrorists affiliated with the Al-Qaeda group crashed planes into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a barren field on the East Coast. Tens of thousands dead, trillions of dollars, and 20 years later, we decode the global war on terror. Our story begins with an ultimatum issued by President George W. Bush days after the 9/11 attacks. It was directed towards countries suspected of sheltering or sponsoring terrorists, and Afghanistan was the obvious target. Up to 95% of the country by then had fallen under the control of the Taliban, a movement of Afghan students who came out of refugee camps in Pakistan. The Taliban gave shelter to America's enemy number one, Osama bin Laden. Pakistan was the next country on the US hit list. Why? Well, because it was the primary backer of the Taliban. Islamabad had influenced the movement with training, weapons, and ideas. George Bush's ultimatum couldn't have come at a better time for one man. Pakistan's secular general Pervez Musharraf had been in power just 2 years when 9/11 happened. He had been rebuked by the Clinton administration after overthrowing democratically elected Nawaz Sharif in a bloodless coup. On the other hand, George Bush gave Musharraf a break. Musharraf chose to ally with the US against the Taliban in return for billions of dollars as part of something called the Coalition Support Fund. The money was compensation for Pakistan to send the army into the tribal areas to root out Taliban and Al-Qaeda elements hiding there. But before we go any further, let's back up a bit. While Pakistan was doing America's dirty work, the Americans were busy plotting against Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein. Hussein had survived the 1991 Gulf War, but now George W. Bush was out to get him. The US launched a war against Iraq in 2003 to the concern of many nations who saw US action as baseless. Over the next 5 years, the Americans spent an astounding $3 trillion in Iraq. Saddam Hussein was executed in 2006 after being tried by a special tribunal. No links to Al-Qaeda were ever found, and neither were non-existent weapons of mass destruction, a claim on which the war was justified. But Al-Qaeda affiliates did find a footing in Iraq after the US intervention. It also produced the ISIS movement. High-profile Al-Qaeda and Taliban suspects were often renditioned to Guantanamo Bay, a detention facility at a US military enclave in Cuba. They were subjected to enhanced interrogation techniques, or as it's more commonly known globally, torture. But whatever happened to Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda? Bin Laden was killed in a US Special Forces raid at a compound close to the Pakistan Military Academy in Abbottabad. Journalist Seymour Hersh claims that the killing was a result of an understanding between Pakistani generals and their US counterparts. But once the mission was complete, Hersh says Obama threw the Pakistanis under the bus, claiming the killing as solely the result of US intelligence and military efforts. And what about the billions of dollars the Americans gave to the Pakistanis? A US Congress report found billions of those dollars were unaccounted for. But money can't bring back nearly 40,000 Pakistanis who have been killed in the war on terror, or for those living under America's crosshairs in bombing runs. And the man responsible, Pervez Musharraf, is living in self-imposed exile between London and Dubai to escape court cases in Pakistan. After fighting US forces and their proxies for 20 years, the Afghan Taliban signed a peace deal with their sworn enemy to bring to an end America's longest-running war. It means the Americans will finally be able to leave in 2021, leaving Afghanistan at the mercy of advancing Taliban and its backers. And just because the Americans are leaving Afghanistan doesn't mean the war on terror will come to an end. And the total cost for America's never-ending war on terror as of 2019 stands at an estimated $6.4 trillion. How many lives is that worth? Reach out to me with your comments on Twitter at Ali_Mustafa.